And
she's going to get us in trouble.
Yeah.
Straight, she's going for the jugular. Call from a producer who worked very closely with Salman at the time, and he said, "Acha, तूने Salman को कुछ media coaching, कुछ media कुछ बोला था?" I said, "हाँ." He said, "Acha, today 7 o'clock, Galaxy. Authenticity also requires media training. Otherwise, it's just chaos."
That really gets my goal when people say no comment.
Right? So if you come from a legacy family, for example, but your team is suggesting that you travel around in auto rickshaws because it's better for your image and it makes you seem more relatable.
Don't do it. Virality is a function of two things. Yes, there is a formula in place.
What is the formula? मेरे को भी बता दे. Because it requires a different kind of jigra to be like, you know what, I have an opinion and I will go out there and say it.
Hi everyone, today we have Janice and Nupur, and they are people who train the celebrities on how they should talk to media. So let's figure out what exactly do they do and how fun is it to tell celebrities you have to talk like this, you have to ऐसा बोलना है आपको.
Listen, just yesterday we were talking about this, how often Nupur and I find ourselves to be the most unpopular members of any team. You know how it is, right? Right now there's like a whole team behind every actor. It's something that amuses us, but also we understand that certain actors have that requirement now. But super curated, right? But in that team, we are often the most unpopular people because we have to go in there and say, no, this feels fake. This feels ridiculous. Right? So if you come from a legacy family, for example, but your team is suggesting that you travel around in auto rickshaws because it's better for your image and it makes you seem more relatable.
Don't do it.
Yeah. We're the ones who go like,
the facade is going to come off, right? How long is it going to be put up? And your lie gets caught out fairly soon enough. So we keep telling our, trainees, don't assume that the audience is dumb. Don't. Stay true to who you are.
Yeah. So it's not fun. To answer your question, it's actually sometimes it depends. I mean, when we're one-on-one, I feel like a lot of people get it. Like if we're training you, for example, right, you'll get it. In that moment, we'll also contextualize everything. But then sometimes in a team scenario, we are the unpopular ones.
We're not yes women.
Yeah.
I think that's how it should be.
Yeah.
So since you spoke about training me, right? So let me give you a hypothetical situation here.
Okay.
Now imagine I'm a celebrity or potential client, right? And you have to convince me to come on board that, oh, you need media training. What is that one, epic PR disaster that you would give as an example saying, देखो ये हो सकता है. Please get trained.
See, we don't even need to go that far, to be really honest, Gina. Here's the simple mantra, right? Anyone who's looking to scale up in life, right? And while we started with specializing with film actors and film celebrities, today we work with entrepreneurs, hoteliers, startup founders, women who are in leadership roles.
Our favorite.
Our favorite category, in fact. And the thing is that our mantra is very simple. If you are looking to scale up in life, you need to be media trained. Because look at the explosion that has happened over the last decade, right? At one point, there was just television, radio, print. Then digital happened. And then suddenly it was like, oh, and then paparazzi happened. So there are so many mediums now and there are so many avenues for you to go out there and be yourself the brand and put your own brand out there that you absolutely need media training. Yeah? So I don't feel like we often need to go into like, oh, ye PR disaster hua, ya wo PR disaster hua. We're just like, boss, are you growing? Are you going to be that person who wants to be seen and heard for the right reasons? You need media training.
In fact, that's one of the biggest misconceptions I think about media training. We're not crisis managers only.
Yeah.
We don't come in to manage a crisis or when things have gone to shit. We build you up and we prep you enough so that you can navigate unknown waters fairly confidently because you can't control situations. Also now everyone has a mobile phone. Everyone has that smartphone or idiot phone, whatever you want to call it. Everyone wants to be seen. Everyone wants to be heard. There's so much clutter, chaos, noise all the time. So the point is not to keep showing up and just talking because there is a platform, but also because you're talking, because you can lend meaning. Right. And how do you maintain longevity? So that's what we really come in to do. So how do you maintain a brand unto yourself that is sustainable?
Tell me about the genesis of this entire venture. What was that one moment that made you think, okay, we need to start doing this? And then how did you land your first client?
I think our first client, even though we didn't train him, we can name.
Oh
but
my
I'll
God,
give you
no
a little.
chance.
I'll give you a little history, right? So, Nupur and I met in 2008. At Times Now, we became really close friends. We became each other's confidants. We decided to balance each other out. I was on the field. Nups would look at production, editorial. So we were always on the same page. We knew what we wanted from our pieces, our specials, as they called it at that time, our
Yeah.
stories.
Yeah.
And then cut to 2015, both of us are pretty much done with journalism, but we're still really good friends and really enthusiastic media observers. Meaning we'd stopped working for news channels, but the journalists in us were
Once
very,
a
very
news
alive.
junkie, always a news
Always.
junkie.
Till today,
Yeah.
Jinal, I mean,
Yeah.
there is very little you can sit with Nupur and me and not talk about when it comes to world affairs, what's happening, our opinions. We are
And our
opinionated
1,000
women.
opinions.
We are extremely proud of the fact that we are opinionated women. But anyway, so around 2016, 17 is when the whole digital landscape was beginning to sort of make an entry, right? Websites were coming up. Social media was really beginning to change the way that, people were doing things. And I saw that a lot of politicians and public figures at that time were beginning to do their own media grooming. This, of course, I realized because I had other friends in the space who were doing this for them. And so in my head, I'm like, actors ke liye kyun nahi kar raha koi?
Why are they still sounding the way they are?
So I remember Noops at that time was abroad and we were talking about this. And we were like, is there a space? So I said, the best way to figure out if you have an idea or not is to go and start talking to people. So among the many people I met during that time, and I was told a lot of really weird things, including कि आप तो हमेशा 11th man के साथ ही खेलोगे. Because बाकी सब जो newcomer है उसको किसकी परवाह है? That time people were not like, legacy kids are going to be coming out by the dozen.
Yes.
So they were like, आप तो 11th man के साथ ही खेलो कि क्या फर्क पड़ता है? किसी को नहीं चाहिए ये. And then I remember Salman Khan was shooting he was doing the last bit of patchwork for Sultan. So he was kind of fond of me. He said, "ठीक है, आजा मिलने, come to YRF Studios." And honestly, Jinal, I remember he was shooting his Kusti wale scenes. Okay, he looked very exhausted, and I was sitting there. I remember pitching to him and telling him, "I have this idea. I feel like all the newcomers and all those sort of people who've not been trained properly on how to speak need to be trained." And in my head, I'm just like, "Is Salman even listening to what I'm saying?" Because he just looked so exhausted and so involved with everything else that was happening on his set, and also more interested in कि तूने खाना खाया कि नहीं, right? So I met him, I left, and I thought, okay, met Mr. Khan, called her, said, okay, I met him, it was an interesting experience.
And then a year goes by?
About a year goes by.
Yeah.
And I get a call from a producer who worked very closely with Salman at the time, and he said, अच्छा, तूने सलमान को कुछ मीडिया कोचिंग, कुछ मीडिया कुछ बोला था? I said, हाँ. He said, अच्छा, today 7 o'clock, Galaxy. That's all I'm told, right? Like, I've been summoned.
Nice.
And I remember calling and I'm like, bro, this is going to be interesting. I go there, and by the end of that evening, first of all, I was like so surprised that I thought Salman wasn't listening to a word I said. He pretty much remembered everything, and he was telling, he'd called all the people he intended for us to train over there to introduce them to me. And literally at one point he said, okay, Janice, you're first class. And it wasn't like he gave us one person, 2 people. He gave us 6 people to begin with.
Wow.
6 people who were at different stages.
Of their
Most of them were
careers.
newcomers. Most of
Yeah.
them were maximum of film mode. He said, you got to work with them. So yeah, just to be really, really clear, we didn't train Salman Khan.
Yeah.
Salman Khan was the first one to be like, okay, you know what? I think your idea might have feet.
So he just threw
Here's
us
your
into the deep
experimental
end of the
batch.
pool.
I want to talk to you as a journalist because I am one, right? And I do a lot of interviews. And people are starting to sound a little too polished, too curated, too boring.
Right.
Do you also wonder, is there a way that we can make them sound themselves interesting and the interviews don't get boring?
I think something sort of shifted in the media landscape after the unfortunate passing of Sushant Singh Rajput.
Right.
After that, the walls went up because I think there was a very real sense of how witch hunt-like, vicious, and how damaging the whole process could be if you just slipped up even a little bit.
Right.
I think after that, every PR team sort of just sprang to their client's defense and said, don't speak. It's fine. It's fine if you come across as not knowing what to say, but just don't, just err on the side of caution.
Right.
And also because you generally see the media landscape right now, right? It is extremely aggressive. It's extremely toxic, if I can add. So I think it began from there, and now it's going to take a while before, like, people let their guard down. I think one is that. And two, it takes a, cookie cutter. Also, there's just so many of the same kind that are now bursting onto the landscape. It's hard for them to stand out because nobody is teaching them, and very few people, apart from us, is really teaching them that you don't need a personality makeover. You have the personality, but you need to have the courage to really be yourselves.
But if I can come in over there at this cookie cutter point, sometimes our hands are tied, Gina.
Yeah.
Okay. We are literally told sometimes by the person we are training, by their teams, sometimes families are involved, that no, please don't encourage her to go in or him to go and air their political views or their views on social issues. Because we don't want that kind of publicity. We don't want to get into it only. Like mothers will come and sometimes say, "Us jhanjat mein girna hi nahi hai humko." Because it lives on the internet rent-free, right? For a lifetime.
We also had clients tell us, no, Baba, I just want my brand deals. It's fine. I don't want a personality.
Very shameless. Listen.
Yeah.
It's okay if if I can't stand apart, मेरे brand deals हो रहे हैं ना, मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
Yeah.
But see, also about authenticity, right? Because I think your question was alluding to how do you sort of keep your talents authentic?
Right, yeah.
Especially when they're all beginning to sound very similar.
Yes.
You need media training so that you sound authentic actually. So for example, one of our clients is comfortable speaking in Hindi.
Right.
Has always been comfortable speaking in Hindi. And the minute he arrived in Mumbai and decided he wanted to be an actor, he had everyone and anyone telling him, Angrezi Sikho, speak in English, do interviews in English. And we were like, why?
So when we were doing our mock, sort of sessions with him, he would just keep wanting to speak in English and then keep getting stuck because that was not the language in which he was thinking.
Right.
So we just had to sort of drill it into him. Be yourself. Be unapologetically yourself.
Own the fact that you come from a part of the country where the Hindi he speaks is so beautiful. The language is so clean. And eventually, I remember we were prepping for a really big interview. And I don't mind saying it, with Rajiv Masand, okay? And at that point, Rajiv was still a journalist and he was doing these year-end interviews. And so this client said, okay, you know what? I'm going to take this gamble. I'm going to go speak in Hindi. That interview did so well, and this is these are the mic drop moments for us because it's like, oh, okay, we worked with you intensively, and honestly, this is a client that was so rewarding for us because I remember one of the early things he told us is that living in Mumbai, he's been so intimidated about the language issue that even if he went into a Starbucks or a coffee shop, he couldn't order coffee for himself confidently. And that man then went on a pretty important interview at that point of time for his career and killed it. So for us, these are the things where we can actually see, okay, you know what? And honestly, no one in that interview, we read the comment section. Humne pad liya. It's not like people are like, oh, he's coming across as so different. No, he's so authentic and so true to himself. He's spoken about his story and owned it with such conviction. So authenticity also requires media training. Otherwise, it's just chaos.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that because so recently I have been enamored by the Heated Rivalry promotion tour. So, for those who do not know, it's a Canadian show which has become global. The actors Hudson Williams and Connor Story are being talked about because what they are doing is being, their selves, they are being chaotic. And the conversation about that is that one section of fans is saying that never get media trained, be yourself, this is so amazing. Whereas those who are, I think, in the business or people like us who know, they are like, you know what, this is actually a sign of great media training because you can never spot it.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that a brief that you also follow?
See, the best kind of media training
is one that you can't figure out.
Yeah.
And you still come across as fresh yourself.
I mean, we have so many examples of this, right? We had another actor who was, Kapil Sharma in the past used to do full cast interviews, right? This is before he got on Netflix. And this was, I think, when he was still on the channel that he was on, right? And full casts. And I remember we had one talent who was like, he was going on the show with much bigger actors.
Right.
It's like, मैं क्या करूँगा वहाँ पे? Like कोई मुझसे एक सवाल भी पूछ ले तो बड़ी बात है. And we work. So this is also something that people don't realize, that behind the scenes, how much thinking is happening to make sure that your talent actually makes an impact.
In the very limited airtime that you have.
Like media training is not कि आप बस interview कैसे दे रहे हो. It's also about thinking about how can we use their soft skills, their personality, their background to create an impact. We work with him. Can I just say very humbly that he was in the damn promo?
So, because he created a moment.
Like it was a
And
moment
there
you
was
could not cut out.
And there was a lot of prep that went behind that moment. You know, you spoke about heated rivalry. And then closer home, I'm just remembering another client of ours. And when she was launched, you know, when she was launched, she came in with a lot of media scrutiny.
Right.
And we watched her journey and sort of, you know, worked along the way. And from that point where, you know, there was just so much nervousness, etc., we never pushed for her to not feel nervous or not act nervous. You are new. You're supposed to be nervous. You're not supposed to come across as seasoned. We will reframe your failures later. You will watch back, you know, you'll watch all of this and you'll be like, I tried and my God, have I gotten better or not? And today we see her in frames with other male actors and much senior actors, and she's making so much sense. There's just so much substance that she's been able to offer because there's prep behind it.
And mind you, this is someone who was very encouraged to be cookie cutter, right?
Right.
Be like everyone else. Don't stand apart. But sometimes we also feel like legacy kids come with so much baggage that it takes them a while to realize that, you know, the more cookie cutter I'm going to be, the more I'm just going to be one with the crowd, it's not going to help. The more I begin to shine in my own space, have a voice, have an opinion. And those opinions could be diverse, right? It could be like what aligns with you. Another thing we tell our clients is कि भैया अगर आपको sustainability का S भी नहीं आता है, don't suddenly try and become a climate warrior.
Don't leech on to causes you cannot defend.
Yeah.
It's smart, and I think they can see through it.
Yeah, if you don't know the F of fashion, don't try and suddenly launch a label.
Yeah.
Like, do things that make sense to you, that you can do 10 years from now and stand behind it confidently.
But you'll be surprised what their teams like sort of advise them to do. So you're having to constantly come in and say, can you defend this 10 years later? Will you still feel about it?
Because otherwise then the whole thing is you're creating content for the internet. So imagine that analysis, like imagine that you have just thought, I'm going for a simple interview.
Yeah.
But the comment section has looked at everything from your cleavage to your makeup, to your hair, to your mispronunciation. It's way too much. The scrutiny is that intensive now. So, you know, I don't necessarily blame sometimes actors who are like, you know what, I just don't want to get into it. Because it requires a different kind of jigra to be like, you know what, I have an opinion and I will still go out there and say it.
Is the training different for a global platform than it is, say, for the Indian media? So, for example, in India, I think one of the hottest topics, as you know, is privilege and nepotism. And
it's also the number one question you get asked to train people.
It's like session number 1.
I am sure, you know, if I'm asking,
Can I tell you our top 2 questions?
Yes, please. Do tell me that and then I will ask you.
Our first question, if it's a legacy kid or someone who's going to be launched with a legacy kid or someone who's working with
what
a
do
legacy
I say about nepotism?
and privilege. That's nepotism/privilege, right? Top question. Number 2 is feminism.
Feminism. Yeah, because I don't know, you know, I'm not really a feminist. I mean, obviously I believe in equality, but I'm not a feminist.
And we're like, you are
You're just like,
literally,
oh my God.
you are giving us the definition of feminism but saying I'm not a
101.
feminist. But you know, sometimes I also feel like, and I'll say this as someone who works behind the scenes as a media trainer and someone who also shoots a lot of content with talents on camera, right? Sometimes on camera, I have just let it go. Not for any other reason, but I'm just like, this is not worth my mind space.
Right.
I have not come here to have an argument with you about feminism. Off camera, we can have that conversation. So those are our top 2 questions. Nepotism, privilege, and feminism.
Feminism. Interesting. Take me through the process of like, how would you train a newcomer who's a star kid, who's entering this, you know, this frenzy that we call as the media circus. And
she's going to get us in trouble.
Yeah.
Straight, she's going for the jugular. If it's someone who is about to be launched or a group of talents who are about to be launched, then yes, we are brought in preemptively, which could mean anywhere 6 months to a year before they're actually launched. Now we've also seen a growing trend of you know, us being approached and being called right before principal photography begins, so that once they're on set, they also know what they're supposed to do over there. We're also imparting soft skills. What do you do on set? How do you familiar with everyone? Because some of these kids are very young. Like, keep in mind, some of them are 20, 21. They're barely They barely finished their education. So they're going to be going on this big set with massive directors and co-stars.
Yeah, and
so
they've
they
lived
need
in
to,
such small bubbles.
Yeah.
so sometimes we're called in also before principal photography. Now we've also seen a trend where actors have been around for a few years, but have felt like they have not been able to create any kind of impact with their voice and the platforms that they've been given. So then we walk in and we're like, okay, let's rejig this and let's do it all over again. So these are the various ways in which we're called.
So I think we begin with first asking them that, do you feel like you come from privilege? And obviously it's a position of vulnerability to be able to admit whether you do or not. And then there are varying degrees of honesty. And we sort of work through with that. Some of them feel that they do come from a lot of privilege, but they don't want to admit it because of the amount of judgment that they will get. And then some of them are like, I really did work hard for this one role. So why can't I say I did?
Yeah.
So, but then you have to explain the media landscape to them. And then you have to remind them that, you won this race even before somebody had the chance to compete.
Right.
So you're going to have to acknowledge that you did get this on a platter. But after this chance, whatever happens, it's what you will make of it. That you can say.
The ones we love, though, are the ones and come in and they're like, of course, there's a lot of privilege here. I know that this opportunity I'm being given, it's like something millions of others would be dying for. And so they're very happy to accept it. And those are the ones that are sort of very easy to mold and make them understand because they're already coming from a place of not being defensive about it.
Right.
The number one thing that we tell talents who come from a certain legacy family, whatever, is that don't be defensive about your privilege. You know you have it, accept it. The chances are if you accept it right away, if you're polite about it, if you acknowledge it from the get-go, even sometimes without the interviewer or the person who's sitting across from you asking about it, it just instantly makes you more likable. You being defensive about it and then saying, but I really did work. Yes, okay, we can make all of that pass, but that is still a hard sell. The easiest sell is the basic answer. Acknowledge your damn privilege. From there on, everything is easy.
And then there is another thing, the apologies that they have to make after they have had, like a gaffe in the media. How do you tackle that bit?
Okay, apologies are always scripted. Okay,
Yeah.
whether it's a video apology,
They
whether
run
it's
through 100 filters.
Yeah, Instagram story, apology, whatever, whether it's a post that you put up as an apology. And I wish we could say that we are the only ones who are looking at it. But in today's landscape, there are at least 30 to 40 people looking at it, minimum.
Right.
And chances are that if you're apologizing, there are a ton of people who have already told you of the ripple effect of your actions.
Very often they're told, don't apologize.
Yeah, let
will
it pass. Let it pass.
People will just move on.
Yeah.
But what we then remind them is that the internet never forgets. If you've made this mistake and it's a big enough sort of mistake for people calling for your apology, the faster you do it, the better.
Just close the loop so that even if they remember that you did sort of goof up, they'll also remember that, also said sorry.
Because see, unfortunately, Jinal, as much as you want to be liked on the internet, and I say internet because that is the primary form of all of us like consuming our phone. As much as you want people to like you there, even if they like you in the beginning, they like you in the middle, they like you at the end, primarily they're judging you. Right? There is a lot of animosity.
At some point or another, you will be hated on. Unless you've completely blended in and decided that you're going to be part of the herd.
Then you are irrelevant. So if you want to be relevant, you have to be comfortable with the fact that you are going to be disliked. And this is not just true of people who are on camera. I think anyone in any leadership position in any part of the world, the more you grow, there will be lesser people clapping for you and more people wondering how the hell did that happen.
And that is even more true of women. She's too much. She's too little.
So we tell all our clients this, that listen, this apology is going to be torn apart one way or another. No matter, you could use the best language, you could sound so super authentic, you could be so apologetic, sounding so humble, it will still be torn to shreds. So write it from that point of view, write it first in your own language. Our advice always is you write it first.
Sound like yourself.
First
Always
you
sound like yourself.
put it on paper what you really want to say, then we'll work with it. Then we work with it, it goes somewhere, it comes back. Then it's like passing the parcel until someone says, done.
How important is humor in this equation? To give you an example, when Alia made that whole GK sort of issue on Coffee with Karan, right? Or right now when Timothy Chalamet, he spoke something about opera and ballet and people just went berserk, right? And then Alia did this sketch with AIB where she used humor and suddenly, the
Yeah.
conversation flipped. And in Timothy's case, the Oscars just did it for him. They made fun of him, they made jokes, they trolled him the entire night.
Correct.
And now people have stopped, calling him out and the conversation has shifted. Is humor an essential part, a skill set that you impart, to your trainees, that this is how you can deal with it very effectively?
See, I'll tell you, there are lots of traits you can teach people. Okay, like the biggest misconception I feel like is people think confidence is not teachable, and we tell every single person confidence is 100% teachable.
Right.
And nobody is confident every day. Only ignorant fools feel confident every day.
हाँ, जितना दिमाग में कम है उतना आप confident हो.
Yeah, sincere people work hard to appear and feel confident.
But having said that, humor, since you specifically said, if there is a scenario where someone's made a gaffe, someone's made a mistake, and now they need to take the jokes, they need to take the jokes. And so at some point, our advice is always like the faster you only
Yeah.
crack that joke about yourself,
Turn it
or
on its head.
always laugh about it. Always sort of go like, oh God, I was so silly when I said that.
Yeah.
I mean, also like, I was watching like Kareena, I think someone maybe about 6 to 8 months ago, maybe a year ago, did an interview with her where they were showing her clips from her old interview and she was only laughing at
Yeah.
herself.
Yeah.
And that is beautiful. The fact that you can sit there and go like, oh God, we were younger and what were we saying in a typical
But it does
Kareena
take
fashion.
work though, to especially with celebrities who have such entourages, etc., to keep reminding them that don't take yourself so seriously. Laugh with them.
One of the things we do, right, and this is I think also our favorite part of the job because we're both journalists, is we want to come in there and be the people that create that reality awareness for you. Right? We
Yeah.
want to tell you about the much bigger things happening in the world. And that with actors in particular, that your job here is to come and entertain people, whether it is through a sad story, happy story, comedy, love story, whatever. So please remember that you are the entertainer. If you yourself start getting so morose and can't take a joke and get so bitter about it, then no,
Yeah.
that's a battle lost. That's an opportunity given away. Someone's making a meme out of you, share it.
Share it, absolutely.
Ha ha ha, this made me crack up. Take the joke on yourself, take it easy, take it on your chin. It's not that deep.
Do you see any sort of lessons that you feel the international celebrities do better than the Indian ones, and that those are the skills that Indian celebs need to pick up? Because humor, I think, is one of them. Like, I feel like they laugh at themselves. They don't take themselves that seriously. Do you think that's a problem that we have here?
I think it's also because we have a culture of putting our cultural and pop icons on such a pedestal. We worship them, right? We want them to be perfect, absolutely flawless. And, and more pressure on women also, obviously, to be perfect. Or why is she making such a tasteless joke? So I think there's a lot more pressure here too, to not be yourself.
Yeah.
And they lead a far more insulated life here in India because of the celebrity culture than celebrities abroad are able to do. They can go and do their groceries. I don't think celebrities here can do that. So there's that sense of normalcy that we are just sitting across each other and cracking jokes.
So to answer your question about what do the Hollywood celebrities probably do better than our Indian celebrities, I think like you, Jinal, I've watched the Oscars, I watched the Grammys, I watched the Emmys, I watched the Golden Globes, and to see some of your biggest icons, right, music or film icons go on their stage and use that platform to talk about such important world issues. That is the freedom that I feel like they enjoy as compared to over here. I'm a little 50-50 about whether this is actually going to happen even maybe in the next 2 to 3 years because the
One lives in
backlash
hope, man.
is so intensive and there are such vindictive folks out here.
Sure.
So I feel like that inability to go out there and speak about what might really be on your mind truly, that
I
is
don't
something.
even know if we are ready for something as really non-controversial if you look at it, just that I want every woman in this room to stand up. I want, you remember that moment, right? That
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think women here can pull it off, not because they can't.
Or they don't want to.
Or they don't want to. I just don't think that our society and the general media landscape is ready for it. She'll be torn apart. Like, why are you making such a big deal out of it?
I think
Yeah.
here, if they do it, it might look a bit gimmicky. But
Yeah.
there, it just looks like, you also want to stand up in your living room.
Yes,
Because you have to be
absolutely.
one
Yeah.
person doing it, daring to
Yeah.
do it, hence it will look like a gimmick. There, everyone is using their platform. Someone's using it to talk about war. Someone is using it to talk about genocide. Someone is talking about climate change. Someone is talking about women's issue. So in that room, it feels like this is a safe space to come and do it.
Right.
And also, this is what platforms should be used for. Such wide audiences should be used for. But
Can you imagine at our filmy functions if someone said, I'd like to ask every woman in the room to stand up and join me in solidarity because this belongs to each one of you. I mean, women only won't stand up.
exactly. I mean, they'll feel uncomfortable.
So yeah, that freedom,
A
that
lot of
ability to
work.
really speak their
Yeah.
mind, really share their opinions. I feel like our guys over here
We have a lot of catching up to do, unfortunately.
catching up to do, and also
Yeah.
very often their hands are just blatantly tied. We've been in several rooms where we've had like actors going like, I
Yeah.
really want to talk about this. Can I put up a story about it? And sometimes we'll say we'll be open to it,
Yeah.
but the other teams will jump in like a hawk
Like,
and say
nope.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get a lot of like frantic calls, say before some major event or some launch is happening, and they're like you know how shrinks will get a call saying, I'm
Yeah.
Okay, we'll tell you. Okay,
Yes.
we did actually discuss this story. So there was a young actor who was launched, let's say in the last couple of years. Yeah, let's keep it slightly vague. And she had a sort of what you would term as an item number in the film.
Right.
Okay, and now if you meet her, she's extremely she's almost like I'm not going to hesitate. She is a feminist. Right, so when she was shooting for that song also, she was like, am I being regressive? Is it going to be taken the wrong way?
Yeah.
And then the closer that we got to the launch of that song,
Yeah.
the more she started panicking.
Getting cold feet.
Like I remember a couple of days before we were doing an entire
Yeah,
session
yeah.
on the possible questions that she could be asked. Like
About that song.
and all the questions she thought were like, she was like, they're only going to ask me negative questions. They're going to be so harsh and say like,
Yeah.
how could you, a modern day girl
Yeah.
do this kind of a song, da 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 da. And I remember at one point, we were just telling her like, listen, you shot for it. Your director asked you to do the song. It's part of the film now. You have no other choice but to own it.
Right.
You can't go there because at one point she was also like, should I just go and say no, this
Yeah.
I don't want to, this is not what I would do otherwise, whatever.
Yeah.
Like you can't diss your own project.
Yeah.
The irony though is, do you want to tell her the irony is?
I mean, the irony is that literally it is that song that sort of, put her on the map, so to speak, and, became her sort of calling card. So all she really needed help with was to just own the narrative and just sort of make sure that she stood by her stance of being a feminist, of being progressive, and just acknowledging that the lens with which she was shot was respectful. And that's all that matters.
I mean, the number of reels, I remember we met her
Yeah.
later and we've had such a
Laugh about it.
huge laugh about
Yeah.
like, you were so panicked the night before.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh my God, they're going to cancel me. They're going to not even give me a chance after this. And now anyone and everyone is sitting and making reels on this. And they all, the song is used liberally everywhere. For every intro till today now, wherever she goes, for whether it's at a
Yeah.
mall or whatever, that song is played. And she owns it. Jinal, at the end of the day, we are as good as the people we train, right? In the sense, if the client feels it in their gut that, okay, this is the direction I have to go and now own it. And if they do a good job of it, then we shine. Then
Yeah.
behind the scenes, we are like two beaming mothers. Like, hi, kar liya, achhe se kar liya. She spoke really well, or she did a good job of handling that
And credit
situation.
where it's due. If it was genuinely a super disrespectful song, we wouldn't have been able to do much. It wasn't, thankfully, for her sake and ours. So, so that helped too.
What's the biggest fear that your clients come to you with, and what are the mistakes that you think most people are making today?
The biggest fear would be I don't feel confident enough. Across the board, I feel like we've met some established folks from the business. We've met rank newcomers, and confidence or the lack of it or not having enough confidence to face the media is a huge sort of thing that they come to us with. Like, oh, I get nervous. What if they ask me this question? What if they ask that question? And the truth is, confidence is a 100% teachable trait.
And an everyday job.
This is Nupur's favorite topic about confidence. So if you want to take over.
No, I think also one of the, to better answer your question, what is the biggest sort of fear they come with, or it's also they come with this whole thing of what can I do to become viral, or to get that headline moment. And they forget, and then they have to be sort of taught that virality is a function of two things. Yes, there is a formula in place, but also two, you have to keep practicing that formula in 100 different ways every day. And then there's a chance that you will get that one moment, and then how you can capitalize on it.
What is the formula? Meko bhi bata de. I mean, because see, the thing is,
people think they can just go on camera one day and become viral.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's silly. Yeah, that's silly. That's like brands telling you कि मतलब ये video ना viral होना चाहिए.
Yeah.
नहीं, ऐसे नहीं होता viral. I mean, now you can make everything viral with money, but that's not really viral. That's paid virality.
They say we want a viral idea, but they don't understand that there's a lot of effort that goes into making something viral.
Yeah.
Even the people who've gone viral, if you go to their pages, you go to their YouTube sort of channels, you will see that they've done 20, 30, 50, 100 such videos before one random video took off, and then suddenly the nature of everything changes. It's also the same very often with interviews.
Yeah.
Like someone who's giving consistently great, solid interviews, often it's not their first interview. If it's the first interview or the second interview that's gone viral, that's an exception, that's an anomaly.
Yeah.
That's not the rule. The rule is someone who is a consistently good speaker, someone who makes sense, and then one day someone will be like, "Arey yaar, ispe acha reel katta hu." That reel will go viral. You will discover 500 other interviews, like, this one was always a good speaker.
Also because, platforms like YouTube, etc., they now give you the luxury of long tail content, right? So say you suddenly become a person of interest because of some news or some movie right now, or something happening in the world. People will start going back and then digging into your old interviews and be like, oh, this is interesting. She always had depth.
It's literally what happened with Akshay Khanna.
Yes.
Right? Akshay Khanna is someone who infamously doesn't give too many interviews. But there was a period of time where I think his producers were like, no choice, sir. You have to do interview. And so all those interviews now are pieces of gold, because post Dhurandhar, everyone had such a massive crush on the man walking out of the theatre that you're like, every interview of his, oh, he's always been reclusive. Oh, this is what he eats in a day. Oh, this is how he approaches acting. Everything is content now around Akshay Khanna. So, yeah, virality isn't really like, it's not something that you can do in a lab कि हमने ये room में पका दिया कि आप viral कैसे
कल हो जाओगे viral. It's not going to happen.
But yeah, so confidence with a lot of legacy kids, people who come from powerful families, it's how to answer certain questions and helping them get over that bump. And yes, like Nupur said, ki how do I instantly make an impact, instantly famous? Nahi hota hai, boss.
And what do you think is a mistake that a lot of people are making these days, that it just makes you feel like मैं अभी जाके उनको बोल दूँ कि नहीं ऐसे नहीं बात करते?
Yeah, it really gets my gall when people say no comment. Why? You are a rational thinking human being.
Yes.
Why are you saying no comment? You came to this event prepared. You knew there would be cameras and mics here, right? Yeah. So why do you not have any comment? So it really, it makes me just cringe inside.
Yeah, so no comment would be one. No comment or just basically seeming like you absolutely don't know what you're talking about. That also irritates me. आप कहाँ बात कर रहे हो? So that brings me to the second point, right? Another thing that's a pet peeve of mine is that people who answer the question in a very literal way.
Right.
मतलब आपको literally character के बारे में पूछे, आपने character के बारे में ही जवाब दे दिया, which is boring. In my head, I'm like, even if I'm talking about this table, there is a way to make it interesting. There is a way to sort of present it. And you are an entertainer, for God's sake. Make it come alive a little bit. So I feel like that to me, a boring interviewer, I'm like, let's go inject some life. Can I come work with you for a little bit? Can I help you tell your story a little bit better? That's my thing, yeah.
What I understand from this entire conversation actually is that whether it's a recluse actor like Akshay Khanna who's been in the industry for so long.
We have not trained him.
Yes. or someone like a newcomer, like an Ahan Pandey. Everyone basically.
We have not trained him.
So basically, if it's a veteran, or a newcomer, everyone needs to be media trained in this current environment.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. See, unless you've gotten to a point, and there are some greats who maybe have now sort of reached that stage because they've just learned from so many of their own mistakes, that they now know what to do and what not to do, how to create impact, how to give that one dhamakedar statement, everything. but to a lot of people who are struggling, who don't know how to, most importantly, tell their own story. Like Jinal, I think the number one question which most of our talents struggle with, and I'll ask you the same question right now, is tell me about yourself.
Yes.
Right? Because that question is such a doozy. Am I asking you to talk about
Everyone gets stumped when we ask them. So tell me about yourself. Like, I was born in...
And the only relevant way to give that answer is to see who's sitting in front of you and what do they want to know about you. Right? So in this current environment, I 100% feel like everyone needs media training. Figure it out.
I'm going to wrap this up now with one last hypothetical scenario for the both of you, right? Sure. We saw what happened at the Oscars where Priyanka Chopra was presenting with Javier Bardem, and then he made a political stand. And people felt that she did not react appropriately to it. So if you had a client who was going on an international platform like that, and you were anticipating something like this to happen, how would you train them? What were the 3 tips that you would give them?
Okay, I think at the outset, firstly, let's discuss that incident by itself, right? I think it was clear that there was also a moment where she was caught off guard because right before Javier Bardem started talking, there was someone in the audience who cheered for the two of them or for her, and hence she waved at them, and the narrative starts from there, that was an inappropriate reaction while someone's talking about something so serious. So that disclaimer in place.
But I think having said that, it's the number one thing, I think that's a key element in our sort of training modules as well. Body language. You can say so much. Your body can and your face can betray so much emotion without saying a single word. So if in the team you do anticipate something like this to come up, it would be important to prep on what you should be silently endorsing or sidestepping.
Like, honestly, Gina, body language is not just about like, oh, how am I posing or am I walking correctly? It's sometimes about non-verbal cues. We would actually have told our client, let's prep your non-verbal cues. Which means that if Javier Bardem is talking about the war, are you going to be nodding? Are you going to be keeping, is your body language going to be slightly more composed and non-reactive? Or are you going to be silently doing this? That non-verbal cue would be rehearsed. Number 2 would be from the time you start up on that stage, your mind is only focused on getting through that 2 to 3 minute interaction and nothing else. So that getting, caught off guard by waving, in the long run, that clip doesn't look great. Right? And I think mainly these would be our 2 tips. One would be being present in every second because this is not unlike the other presenters who came and just got to come and go like, and today, and crack a joke. This was a very serious, you were going with a very serious co-presenter who you knew is going to talk about something like this. So being present in every second, knowing that everything is going to be super analyzed under a microscopic lens. And number 2, like she said, body language. Number 3 would be rehearsing, prepping your non-verbal cues.
Making sure that whatever you're doing is also aligning with your own brand.
Those would have been our main tips.
Thank you so much, Janice. Thank you so much, Nupur, for speaking to us. And this has been such an insightful discussion.
Thank you so much.